You know, someday I'd like to expand the EC hockey team to where we've got someone to cover full-time the CHL, the NCAA, the NHL, the PWHL. For now, however, I'll give you the updates when I can, and it's been fun watching the NCAA Ice Hockey Championship, culminating, of course, with the Frozen Four and tonight's championship game, which saw Western Michigan take on Boston University. And man, BU fans, you must be feeling it right now. Perennial contender, but it's been 16 years since BU's last championship. But this was the first for Western Michigan. And what a game it was. Their fans traveled very well, and honestly, they dominated the game as well. Not just on the score sheet, but I know this isn't a technical term, they just seemed to want it more. This was a great game, though. I think it really benefited from there not being much meaningful happen in the NHL right now. There was obviously Toronto-Montreal, which could shift playoff implications by a percentage point, but the scoring would get started early. The Broncos, with a pretty harmless-looking play as they throw the puck towards the net, it ends up with a deflection, 1-0 2 minutes in, and Western Michigan would continue pushing in the first. They had 3 or 4 really good opportunities. Boston, however, would be the next one on the score sheet as they managed to knock in a loose puck on what was a fairly controversial goal. Honestly, though, Michigan fans can let me know if they agree. I wouldn't have been worried at this point because they continued to push hard. And with 5 minutes left, Cole Krusberg picks up a loose puck. Boston stops moving their feet, and he wires it home. 2-1, things are looking good. The Broncos would get so many odd man rushes, partial breakaways, and 5 minutes into the second, they would get one more when freshman Ty Hendricks, big boy by the way, bats in a loose puck. BU would get it to within one. Another greasy goal. Honestly, they'd have like 3 or 4 after this too, where they'd almost put it in, but the Broncos stood strong, and that's as close as BU would get. There was one goal waved off for goalie interference, but Western Michigan would score the next 3 goals, and the game would end on an empty netter, 6-2. Honestly, despite Western Michigan being, I guess, a smaller school than Boston College, this win is not surprising. They had an incredible season. To get to the championship game, they had to defeat the defending champions, the University of Denver, which they did 3-2 in overtime. But including that game and tonight's championship game, they've now won 10 in a row, having not lost in regulation since February 21st against ASU. They end the season with a record of 34-7-1, with Flyers prospect Alex Bump being the team's leading scorer. On the other side, Boston had 2 of the other Hudson brothers. Yes, Lane Hudson has 2 brothers, including Quinn, who's older. He also just signed an entry level with the Oilers. They're burning a year off his deal. I don't know how that works, where he wasn't drafted. People are saying he can play with the team. I thought he'd only be able to practice, but they signed him and burned a year off his ELC. So someone who knows more can explain that to me. Then there's also Cole Hudson, who plays on the team, who's a Washington prospect. But that's all I've got. Let me know what you guys thought if you watched the championship game or the Frozen Four, any of the tournament, down below.